Behold, listeners! The tabletop hobby is full of badass femmes with equally badass stories to tell, and you can behold them in Behold Her podcast. Every episode centers around a theme, like accessibility in gaming or decolonizing Dungeons & Dragons, and features several interviews and an audio story. The goal of Behold Her? Demonstrate that the femme gamer experience is as rich and diverse as we are as individuals. So join us. Listen to Behold Her wherever podcasts are free, or check us out at patreon.com/beholdher.
You know things, I know some too. Sit right down, the femsplain them to you. If there's a thing you want to explain, these two feminists can entertain. Nerdy stuff, sexy stuff, so much to know. Tune in for the Femsplain Show.
Femsplain!
Good morning, Diana.
Good morning, Avalon. Oh, and good morning to that cat.
Good morning to my cat, and good morning to our listeners. If you're not listening to this in the morning, you have to stop and wait.
Oh, yeah.
It's a morning only podcast.
You have to listen to it at whatever time of day it is that we recorded it, even though
Yes.
we are doing this as a pre-recorded thing and not live, which would...
Correct.
Yes. Those are the
Thank
rules.
God.
What is it that we're doing? What's happening?
We are doing, I was going to say the first episode of the new year, but that's not true. This is
No.
the second episode of the new year of a podcast called Femsplained Podcast.
Yay, Femsplained. And what would you say is Femsplained, Avalon?
Femsplained is a podcast in which two queer femme identified humans called Diana and Avalon talk about their experiences in nerd culture, one topic at a time.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I also like that you
Thanks.
added a little sing-songy element to that, to our names.
I don't remember.
Well, it was good. Yeah.
Okay.
You'll hear it later.
Oh, great. I'll hate it.
Yeah, Femsplained is a queer femme nerd podcast, and this is every episode we take turns introducing nerdy topics to each other and experiencing them through some of our homework episodes and things together. So in our previous episode, our first episode of 2021, we actually brought on some really super cool guest femsplainers to talk about I Hunt, the RPG that is Buffy meets Uber, which if that doesn't sell you on an RPG, I don't know what to tell you. So if you haven't listened to that yet, go do it.
Yeah, go listen to that episode, which is better than this one.
Yeah.
I haven't even recorded this one yet, and I know it.
But if you have already listened to that one, now you're here. Well, I guess we can't really talk about the topic yet. So,
No.
Avalon, what has nerd culture done for you lately?
I need us to take turns going first. I say it every time. So it has been the holiday break since we last recorded. So I feel pretty saturated with a lot of TV time and things like that. But I have mostly spent my time playing Calico.
So what is Calico?
Calico. Calico is sort of not that far off today's topic. It is a game, an indie game. It's like a task management one, but the aesthetic is very much like magical girls, cottage core animals.
Great. Love it. And
Yes.
it's very perfect.
Yeah, you can't really fail, can't really do anything wrong. You have just moved to a new town and are taking over, I believe, your aunt's old cat cafe.
Oh my
so
God.
you run around town just picking up cats and telling them that they live at the cafe now. It doesn't seem to have a maximum number of cats.
Great.
Also other kinds of animals too. And then you are everybody that lives in town is really nice to you, obviously, because there's nothing bad that happens here. But you say hi to them every day, and sometimes they have a fetch quest for you.
All right, that sounds like really cute.
It's really cute. It is so glitchy.
Great.
It is almost broken. But it is so cute that it doesn't matter. So,
is there a story element to this game? Like,
so far,
narrative?
no. So far, I haven't come across a narrative, except like just that you're trying to expand the map. So like there was a cave-in on the road, and you got to figure out a way to clear it so that you can also go to the city. And
okay.
It's not really a narrative so much as the people in town want to go to the city.
Everyone wants to get out of this shitty town.
No, they just need to visit because they all have like girlfriends there. It's also very gay.
Ooh, good. Tell me about that.
Just some of the magical girls in town. I guess just like you have to plan dates for them.
Okay, that's really cute.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I think it was like $5. I would just give the game developers like money just for sort of creating it, no matter how glitchy it is.
Aw. I know. You know what? Like I'm so often find myself not caring when indie games are glitchy. Like even though it's like it can be really frustrating. Like Spirit Fair had all those glitches in it when I first got it. That like actually stopped me from being able to play the game for like a month. I didn't even care. I was just like, well, I'll wait. I'll just wait because it's so nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that it's just kind of anytime there's a glitch, I think to myself, well, I couldn't have done better.
Yeah.
So who am I to say?
Who cares? Well, that sounds like a really cute. I'm like glad that you had like have had a game that you've been playing recently.
It's nice, and it feels affirming, and I think even just sort of in your character design process, the body type options and stuff also feel really nice.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah,
like
you can be like super fabulous and super fluffy, and it doesn't feel weird.
Oh, good.
It feels like the aesthetic.
Okay, good. I like that. Yeah.
I do too.
Those are complicated feelings sometimes.
Yes, yeah, but it almost feels more right.
Yeah.
To play the game that way, so it's nice. On the other end of the nice spectrum is Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Well, I think it's interesting because I think we both had different experiences with the first movie, but the same feelings about the second movie.
Yeah, my recollection of how I felt about the first movie was just like pretty meh, like lukewarm positive. Like it was a popcorn movie. It was fine. But as soon as I stepped out of the theater, I never really thought about it again.
So not like your experience. I started crying about 5 minutes into the first movie and did not stop having that emotion until it was over, and maybe about an hour later. So I was very affected by the first movie. Like in a way that it is still rewatchable to me, and it still will like affect me in that way. And I mean, that certainly could have contributed to some of the massive disappointing feelings that I had about the second one. But I also do genuinely think that it wasn't good. But like, I went into it definitely with a high expectation personally as well. So it was a pretty big disappointment.
I really enjoy in the first movie and in the second movie to a lesser extent the flashback time, or like when she's on the gay island.
The mascara, yes.
Yes.
That is in both movies. I do have a feeling where like I would prefer it if there was an entire movie about the mascara.
100%. It could even be bad, and I would be crying.
Right. Well, yeah. It's all we need is just a gay island of muscular women.
Yes.
Like that's it. Yeah. But this was like, yes, I do think that the mascara part of that was probably the best and most enjoyable part of it. But yeah, then it became, I mean, like, people much smarter and much more culturally aware than me have pointed out all of the ways in which it is offensive. But it just also felt like a silly, like it felt like I was watching a comic book movie from when I was growing up, where they were all like so campy and so over the top. Like, it wouldn't have felt out of place for Wonder Woman to make a bam sound like over the top of her head.
I think that's why my expectations for this one were higher, because I really like camp. And I thought if they leaned into that in a smart and fun way, like, I would totally be here for it. Like, if there was a live action X-Men movie that truly leaned into like the 90s of the cartoon, I think that would be really fun. Kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they do a good job with that.
Yeah.
But it's like they tried to be fun, but they didn't know how to be fun.
Yeah. And, don't get me wrong. I loved the romance in the first movie between Steve Trevor and Diana. I liked it. It's my favorite of the possible romance pairings of a chaotic good and a lawful good. It's my favorite. But this movie being like so entirely focused on this wish fulfillment of getting that relationship back together, despite like Wonder Woman like is supposed to be, I mean, one, she's been alive for like centuries now, and and she's like one of the most like, not only like she's supposed to be not only one of the most like intelligent and actualized people in the world, but also like one with like a super great emotional intelligence, like, and the fact that she's just like, yeah, ruin the world to have my boyfriend back, and the fact that none of the moral quandaries even bring up the fact that they displaced a whole human being in order to bring Steve Trevor back. Like, where was that guy's brain during this whole little interlude? Was it just in the void? Is he trapped in there somewhere? Was he like, what was the magic of that he just bamfed out of his own body so that Steve Trevor could live, and no one thought that was possibly the problematic part of this?
Yeah, I noticed that but didn't care. What I really struggle with is I didn't feel like the antagonist had a motivation besides like the word power written on a Post-it note.
Yeah.
Like, at no point, there were so many times during probably the second half of the movie that I was just like, what? Why? Like,
yeah.
Why did that happen?
And then I feel like at the end, they just kind of cheaply were like, well, he was, he was abused when he was young, and that's why now he wants to take over the world, which to me is just like,
it's just weird.
Stop it.
But I will say that him reuniting with his son was like hormonally for me.
Oh, good. At least
impactful.
Yeah.
It was like the lowest hanging possible fruit, but as someone who recently had a son, I was just like, oh my gosh, that baby is sad because his dad sucks.
Yeah, but now it's implied that he won't suck anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I assume he's in prison, not sucking. But yeah, I don't know. And the shopping mall scene in the beginning, like, was just like very confusing to me. All of the acting choices were just very confusing.
Yeah, and the wink, I don't know.
I'm surprised. I really am surprised that this was produced by women. Do you feel that?
I don't think it totally was.
Okay.
That is the, well, as you know, that's my, but still, it's not like, you know, Hollywood women are exempt from
No, and this is a reminder of
shitty
that. It was
tropiness.
just like, I guess I just had a higher expectation that somebody who was socialized as a woman would be able to actually relate to the experience of being a woman.
Yeah, but no,
But
instead
no.
we got defending yourself from a rapist is actually a sign that you are going to become evil pretty soon.
Yeah. How do you feel about her casting? Is that like an acceptable risk or just an absurd risk?
I actually didn't hate it. I actually thought she was probably the strongest person in this entire movie. I thought
I felt anxious and sorry for her because I know that if I had to step onto a set and seem like I was getting hotter and hotter to approach Gal Gadot's hotness, I would want to die.
It was very confusing. I had a lot of feelings about that entire arc. And that like the entire concept of like that getting hot erases your ability to be a moral person or like it erases your other traits. I don't know. It was just like so the number of things that made me feel icky really took away my ability to enjoy like the parts of it that might have been campy and enjoyable. It was just like, ugh. So that's disappointing. To me, you know, I really wanted it to be a continuation of that feeling I had in the first movie.
Yeah, that's fair. Ugh. Okay, so that was Wonder Woman. What, other than Wonder Woman, what has nerd culture done for you?
Well, actually, I think since we recorded last, I played Hanukkah Goblins, which was so much fun. So much fun. It
was really fun to watch.
It's a great, well-written RPG. And I got to play it with some really great people, including the creator of the RPG. And it was just so joyful and so fun and surprisingly uplifting, and it was just like really, really great.
There was a moment, I feel like, after the intermission where Gabe asked a question that made me laugh like for a really long time. It was like, are the people in the town
also goblins?
People?
Or are
Yeah.
they people? And then I think we decided that they were people, but Gabe's character could not tell the difference between.
I think that was an excellent choice because I will say, as an audience member, it was very clear that they were people.
Yes, it was.
So his confusion was hilarious, and I really like what it led to.
Yeah. Oh God, it was so beautiful. There were so many delicious moments in that game. So there's that, and then I think my other big one is that on my stream for the last couple months, we've done like a straight shot through all three Dragon Age games. And we've done it like with continuing that plot line. So we're keeping it all in the same world state.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So like I'm not changing anything. I'm not doing any default settings for the games. They're all staying true to what ending, positive or negative, I got from the previous game. It's been really fun. It's been like a really fun little refresher on the whole series. But we just finished the main part of the last game. So there's just DLCs and stuff left, which I'll do, but they're pretty short. So right now I'm kind of at this place where I have a Steam wish list a mile long, and I'm deciding what's going to be like the next thing that I'm playing on stream. And I sort of have a little choice paralysis, but also I'm like excited by the possibility of a million games. So I don't know, that's
exciting. Are you looking for something big, like a time commitment similar to Dragon Age?
I have both types of games in my wish list right now. I have like a ton of like indie kind of cutesy games. I have some big epics, some blockbusters I never played. Is that appropriate? Is that a word that makes sense to say for a game?
I mean, I don't think it's the technical term, but it's
you
a
get
term
what I
that
mean.
I appreciated and I understood, and I filed it away to use it.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, good. So I have a little bit of both, and I'm still taking like recommendations from like my stream chat and friends and stuff. So right now I'm kind of enjoying the process of just like looking at a million trailers for a million different games and reading reviews and like seeing what's gonna be the next fun thing. So that's my joy right now.
I love that. I would push my favorite blockbuster game really hard on you, but I also am about to start it again, which is fine. I guess we both could.
Which is it?
It's Odyssey.
Odyssey. Yeah, that's on the list for sure.
Serious Wonder Woman vibes. So.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, to me, that's the best AAA game ever.
And didn't we also talk about how awesome this game was with Olivia and Philomena too?
Maybe.
I think we did.
Good. You know what else we talked about was really awesome with Olivia and Philomena?
What?
Today's topic.
Oh yeah, we did. That's right. Okay. Wait, before we get to the topic officially, let's bring Francis in to mansplain it to us so that we know what we have to say.
Thank God. I was scared.
Everything's explained. Mansplain me now. Tell the ladies what to say. Mansplain minute. Putting 1 minute on the man watch and go. Stardew Valley. I could spend the next minute crap talking chore simulator games, but I've already done that shtick 3 times on 3 other episodes that Diana and Avalon have recorded about chore simulator games. And I know that Avalon and Diana play other kinds of games. Avalon enjoys Assassin's Creed, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, a variety of JRPGs, Bethesda games, and Diana plays Dragon Age, I think. So why do we keep coming back to draw from the same well over and over and over again, which, by the way, I believe is an actual chore in the game Stardew Valley? I just don't see how they could fill 60 minutes talking about what they named their chickens, or the benefits of growing potatoes relative to turnips during the wintertime. This right here, this is why we need more guests. And that's your Mansplain Minute.
Okay, so that was that, and this is this.
Once again, we don't know what that was.
Yeah, we'll find out.
We assume
later.
it was fine. But I'll tell you what's not going to happen. He's not going to get a chance to come back on for a rebuttal.
No, definitely not. No more rebuttals. Those stay in the closet.
Rebuttals.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm so excited to talk about Stardew Valley.
I'm so excited too. This is a game that I have.
Oh,
I have it,
because
but
then you don't have to buy it for your homework.
Yeah, I do have it. I played like through the intro of this game, so I saw the introduction, and I think maybe after that I played for about 5 minutes and then stopped and never went back.
Is there a reason?
I remember distinctly I could not figure out how to get a fishing pole, and I was just mad, and I was just like, why won't the game tell me how to get a fishing pole? And then I rage quit. But I liked the introduction. Anyway, please tell me everything about this game.
So Stardew Valley, I think is sort of a pinnacle of indie game culture, be it video game or, any other kinds of content creation, because it truly is like an amateur labor of love that was just exploded. It's just one dude who couldn't get a job, so started trying to make a video game to build his resume to be able to say that he could make video games to help him get a job.
Wow.
And then just poured all of his time and effort over years into like making the music and doing all the art. All of that was stuff that wasn't like, weren't necessarily skills or talents that he felt like he was bringing to the table. He was just trying to teach himself as he went. And the whole thing, I think, is just really clean and not very buggy and just really cool. And it's also, I mean, you buy it for different systems, but you can also just like play it for free on your phone at this point. So it doesn't feel, even though I'm sure he's profiting on it in some ways, like the updates are always free. It doesn't really feel like he's trying to cash in on it as much as he could.
Sure, right.
Which he, I guess would have the right to do. I'm not trying to say, that you should give your stuff away for free, but it definitely does lend, for me personally, to the kind of purity of it, or, it just seems like a nice thing.
Yeah.
And so what it is it's a video game that is inspired by like farming RPGs, I think they're called. So like Harvest Moon, if you played that, or like Animal Crossing is pretty much in the same vein. But yeah, and I just feel like it's also really packed full of a lot of things that you could spend your time doing if you wanted to, or you don't have to. Like there's sort of procedural little dungeons if you like doing that and going through. There's like fishing if that's what you prefer to do. And to some extent, you need to do all of these a little bit to complete the storyline, but you could really get into specializing in one or the other if you prefer.
Oh, okay.
And so the story is you are working in a cubicle in a city, and your grandfather dies and leaves you his old farm, and you decide to like give up your cubicle job to move to this small town.
Right. I remember that intro being very, very shocking to me because it was a little dark. Like
it's a little dark. Yeah. The sort of existential crisis is pretty heavy-handed, and then also the loss of your grandfather is also a little heavy-handed. But yeah, you show up, you have a crappy old farm, and you got to start pulling out weeds and planting things and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the town that you've moved to is also sort of struggling. It doesn't have money. Its community center has shut down and is overgrown. And like JoJo Mart has moved there. And so like the local general store is struggling to stay afloat rather. And so you kind of have a choice as a player of like if you want to be a patron of the JoJo Mart or not. I don't know what the long-term effects of that are because I don't know anyone who has ever done a JoJo Mart run. Yeah. But to me, and I think to a lot of people, like on top of the satisfaction of seeing your farm thrive, and just sort of the fun, mindless tasks of the game, is that it is also a dating RPG.
It is. That's not just a thing people are making up. Because I thought maybe people were just like, oh, I love this character, so I'm talking. No. You actually can date them.
Yeah, you're trying. I mean, in theory, you're trying to get one of them to marry you and move on to your farm. And there's like, I'm going to say 12 options, like 6 guys and 6 girls. Each one, you're really just wooing them by giving them items that they like.
Sure.
Yeah. But they all like different things, and they all have pretty distinctly different personalities. And I think it says a lot about a person for who they do choose to woo. It's very interesting to me.
So who did Francis marry, and why does it impact our judgment of him?
So Francis married the video game girl, like the nerdy girl with purple hair.
Sure.
Yeah. She's also very funny because there is a glitch with her that fortunately has never been fixed because it's wonderful. But her favorite gift is amethysts. But she reacts to it as if it's food always. So like you give her an amethyst and she's like, crunch, crunch, crunch. I love these.
I like that so much.
It's very funny. I find it a little bit hard to choose, to be honest with you. I have never, first of all, I mean, it's like never occurred to me to try to date any of the male characters. Like,
Sure.
and it's
No,
very funny to me because I've just never even thought of it.
Yeah.
None of them are appealing at all.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But there are a couple of female characters that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So I struggle. I think I've done like maybe 3 playthroughs because anytime it gets released on a different system that I have, I'm like, oh, I'll play it on this system now. But yeah. And to me, one of the coolest updates a couple of years ago is they made it like multiplayer. So like if you have the game and Francis has the game and I have the game, the 3 of us can all have the same farm.
That is something that I wanted to explicitly ask about, because it sounds like this is a game that has, most of the time, my experience with like multiplayer games is that the plot line kind of goes away when you're playing multiplayer. Is that the case here?
No, as it turns out, because there's not a strong plot line. It's really just that you have the first 3 years, I think, in theory, to make the farm as good as you can because your grandfather's ghost is going to come and you want him to say, like, you did a good job.
I'm sorry. What? Okay.
I have never triggered that because I'm so afraid of him not being happy enough with it.
Wow, yeah.
But the game doesn't end at that point. You can just play forever. So that continues, and the only other thing is that each season in the game is marked by some sort of a festival in town, and there's like a little festival day, and you can individually still marry people. Like you can still woo and marry the villagers.
That's great.
Even in a multiplayer game, which I discovered because Francis and I were playing, and I was trying to befriend some villagers because then they'll give you recipes. And in the process, made some villagers fall in love with me. And then it became kind of awkward as Francis and I were co-farming as partners. And then all of a sudden, I had a wife.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah.
Accidentally got married.
Yes.
I hate it when that happens.
It's true. So yeah, I think so in theory, I guess if you had 3 people doing the same farm, you could have 6 total if everybody got married, and your partner, once they marry you and move in, will help you with chores, which is nice.
Okay, I immediately want to play this game now, but only if I can play it with you and Francis.
Yeah, I would really like to.
Wow. Okay.
The only thing that I don't know if I think it's a bad thing or not, but so we, in theory, could play at the same time and the clock is running, like each day is running by. Or if you logged in and played by yourself, the clock is running and the day is running by. So when Francis and I were playing, it was kind of like we had to be playing at the same time if we wanted to optimize it. Because I think that the real benefit of having a multiplayer farm is that you can get more done because you have finite energy for the day.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So if one person's playing and the others aren't there, like that day, less will get done overall.
Yeah. And a day passes like permanently in the ultimate calendar that other people have quote unquote missed out on or something. Like in theory, I guess you could trigger a festival day by yourself and the other people, it would be gone.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like the biggest deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of coordinating 3 people playing at the same time, or 2, which is not the end of the world, but it did make it harder for us to keep up with it. But the benefits are huge because I went and played a single player farm afterwards and I could not believe how hard it was to get my shit done by myself.
Oh, wow. Okay. I feel very excited right now.
Yeah.
I want to play it right now.
It's like Animal Crossing if like you could pick one of your villagers to marry. Which
I
would like.
Was going to be a part of that game and
Yes.
was very disappointed when not only did that not happen, but then she asked to leave the island to become a rock star. And I was like, you're dead to me, Wendy.
Yeah, you should have said no.
I should have, but I thought that would make me a bad person.
No. She was testing you. I would prefer with Animal Crossing if I could play matchmaker for the villagers rather than...
Ooh, that would be such an inspired addition to that game.
I would love that.
Wow, I would not even care about anything else.
In my whole life.
No, I mean, like, I wouldn't.
No,
care
I wouldn't.
that I couldn't if I could do that. Wow, that would be great.
And then what if they had like little kids?
Oh, by the way, I logged in to play yesterday, and someone moved to my island from Allentown.
Oh,
well,
is
I
it
had
the tiger?
No,
Oh.
it was, I forget who. But
That's
anyway,
hilarious.
I thought that was really funny. I didn't know they could do that without you intentionally, like, snagging them.
I had the tiger move to my island from Allentown, and I also was like, what? And then he left and moved back to Allentown, which I don't think is supposed to even be a thing. I think it's just sort of like random chance that happened, but it really feels like he's playing both of us.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was him.
No, it was not. But I just thought that was really funny because I thought you had to do that on purpose. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah. Very weird.
So Stardew Valley. So, can you talk about, you mentioned that there are like dungeon-esque, are there enemies in this game?
There's like little goblin-y monsters. So one of the places that you get any kind of mineral type resource is like a cave system or a mine. And you go deeper and deeper level by level. I think there's 100 levels. And so once you're in there, you're just kind of trying to survive and get deeper and deeper. Because every 5 levels, it's like a save point, essentially. So you can go directly to there next time. And there's just like little bats that are coming at you, and you just have to like hit them.
Oh,
Stuff like
okay.
that.
All right.
And the other thing too is when you're designing your farm in the very beginning of the game, you get to choose different kinds of plots. So there's like a forest one with a lot of, like lumber resources, but there's one that's like a spooky one. And so you have, after dark on your property, you'll have like those same cave goblins and stuff that might show up.
Oh, cool. Okay. And then, so is there like any sort of competition wise between like other farms or things like that in like the village? Nothing like that. Okay.
No. I think the only interpersonal stuff is that some of the villagers are much harder to convince to be your friends.
Oh, okay. I do like that.
Yeah. And honestly, like, but the ones that are harder to convince are more like, like, fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to be your friend anyway.
Yeah. I think each of the villagers has like a very strong personality type / interest. Like, there's a very, I don't know, like, blonde, popular, vain kind of one who's really big jerk to you, and like, who cares about that person?
Yeah, I don't want them to be my friend.
No, exactly. I will say that the guy in town who is the meanest to you is worth befriending.
The guy in town that's the meanest. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to suss out who that is.
Yeah, I think it's Shane. I think I would recommend befriending Shane.
A very douchey name.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that it is actually painful to me that I cannot touch that cat's paws right now. They all look so touchable.
He is a snorer, so I don't know. There might be snoring cat audio.
I hope there's snoring cat audio. I think that'd be the perfect addition to this podcast.
It's true. Is there anything else with Stardew Valley so there's a big update that just came out.
Ooh.
Like a week ago, and it hasn't been released on all systems yet. It's so far just on PC, and they're still working on it for like Switch and consoles. But there's a new kind of island, or no, I'm sorry, there's a new kind of farm layout template, which is an island, which I think is pretty cool. And supposedly there's like a whole new area that you can go to. It's like a big release. And I think that within the last year since I've played, there's been an update where there's like a whole new festival during the year. So they really are, or he really is like constantly creating really interesting updates.
So I guess what is your, like, when you play the game, what is the thing that you spend the most time doing?
So I think that I feel like the most important thing for like the longevity of the farm and getting enough money in the beginning to start to unlock things is just like straight up growing. So right off the bat, you know, it's hoeing, buying seeds with the little bit of money you start with, and then watering them every day. And when you haven't leveled up your energy or your tool supplies yet, just watering them every day can take like all of your energy resources, which is a little frustrating because it's also, you know, it's the beginning of the game. So you want to start getting better at fishing and like going into those mines and fighting those monsters and stuff. So in the beginning, it really is, I think, hard to know how to allocate your energy resources.
Sure,
But it ends up being like all straight up farming. And then when you get enough money that you can buy livestock and build like little barns for them, then I think it really opens up. Because once you can start selling milk and eggs, then you're getting enough money that you don't have to worry quite as much about planting, and you can use your energy for more fun things.
Okay, that makes sense. So, okay, so if I were to say open up Stardew Valley right this second and start a game, do I need to know from the get-go that I'm starting a multiplayer farm, or is that something that you can do?
I think
afterwards?
you need to know from the get-go.
You do?
I think you start the farm as a multiplayer farm.
That makes 100% sense to me, but I just wanted to check before I did
But
something.
I think if you weren't too worried about running the calendar, like we were worried about it. We were worried about it because of like the idea of maximizing efficiency. But if you don't really care about that and you just want to make a farm that you mostly play, and then like occasionally maybe I would come in and do some farming or something, then you could just start out with a multiplayer game, but play it primarily as a single player.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What else is good? You get to pick if you get a pet cat or a pet dog, which is kind of nice.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get to name all of the livestock that you get, and you don't like butcher them. Like you just use them for their products.
For like secondary resources.
Yeah, exactly.
Dairy, eggs, etc.
But you have to pet them every day for them to give you an egg or milk.
I really love that.
Which is good. It's important to do. And also, what I really like is once you get into usually year 1 or 2 in game, you start to be able to make specialty products. So the things you're growing or the animal products that you have, you start to be able to turn into fancier things. So like the berries you're growing, like you can get wine casks for, and you start to make wine, and you get like honey and beehives, and you can start to make mead, and like so your farm starts to become specialty in interesting ways.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
This sounds adorable. What would our farm be called?
I don't know. Something I don't know. Something I don't want to say. Probably something similar to what our like group chats are usually called.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So inappropriately describing our relationship. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
good. Mm-hmm. Fair.
But I want to have a commune so badly that this really scratches that itch for me, I guess.
Yeah. I also, I think I always had a little bit of like a romanticized idea of commune living, but quarantine definitely, it's okay. It definitely amped up that that emotion.
Big time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For me, yeah. The other thing too, I was gonna say, the one thing that I think there could be more around is sort of like customizing your house. It's it's like Animal Crossing where you have to buy for it to get bigger and bigger. But it's not as customizable in terms of like furnishings as Animal Crossing, which I think would be fun. They do technically have some of that, but I haven't really gotten into it because it seems fairly basic. But I know that if you're playing on a PC, there's like this fancy thing.
Mods?
What's that word? Yes.
Yes.
Mods. They call them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they do, but they're probably cool.
I'm sure. I bet it would be fun to like customize the house, but so far it sounds like there's like quite a lot
there is, yeah,
going into this. Like there's a lot of elements to this indie game, which makes it, I mean, so impressive. So if we could go back and I'm not expecting you to know specific details of this, but I am curious about what has become of this guy that created this thing, because it clearly is like a fan favorite. It definitely succeeded in becoming an indie success for sure.
Yeah. To my knowledge, he's still just working on this probably like all the time. But I don't think that he's really expanded. I think that I saw something that said he has a very small team now, but it's not like I don't think he like sold to any kind of software company or,
or like has been like hired for other games or things like that.
No, I think that I believe that just this has been so much of a fulfilling and successful passion project that it's just like, this is my job now, is continuing Stardew Valley.
That's adorable. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it a lot. Oh,
yep.
Goodness gracious. Okay. I really, I love, like, I guess I had no real awareness, because my awareness of video games up until maybe about, I don't know, I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago was so minimal. Like I didn't play them for such a long time. That like when I started playing them, I had the awareness of like basically like 4 or 5 titles at any given time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, just the world of indie video games is something that's so fascinating to me, because it seems like it seems, I guess, technologically unattainable to me. I have
Sure.
no concept of what goes into making a video game beyond zero. I have no understanding of it. So the fact that there are these people making these absolute works of art out there without like a huge team and production company behind them, like, makes me a little emotional.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really touching.
Yeah.
Sort of any kind of, I think, grassroots content creation is really exciting to me.
Yeah.
And then especially when it's very well received by people that aren't just me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, like Stardew and Hades and Among Us and Spiritfarer too. Spiritfarer, I don't think won any of the awards that it should have, but it was nominated for like a ton.
I think it won one of our best of 2020 awards. Yes.
And that's what counts, is what Femsplained deems.
Next year for our wrap up, we should do like an awards show.
We should do
of what we like.
Yeah. Best stuff we liked in 2021.
Yes.
That's what you can look forward to at the end of this year.
Nice. Let's remember that.
Oh my God, I want to pet that cat. Oh my God, look at his paws. They're just going up and down.
He's a little sleepy guy. Don't be sorry.
Oh, I just love that cat. So do you, have you played the game by yourself or mostly just with Francis?
Mostly by myself, and then one time with Francis.
Okay.
I think I've had probably a total of 3 or 4 farms.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
But I have never triggered the grandfather thing because I'm afraid.
Has Francis, like, have you seen it happen?
No.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It's like there's always one more specialty item that I have not been able to get. Because certain items are only available during certain seasons. So if you squander your first spring because you're just trying to like be an upstart, it can be hard to then get those items later.
Oh, sure. Wow. I'm so intrigued by this, by the end game being that your dead grandpa has to come and judge you. That's very intense.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I think that it's possible that you could just never trigger that if you don't want to. And I think it's also possible once you get married that you can have kids, but I haven't done that either.
Ooh.
I don't know how that works. Maybe you have to do like a house expansion and then it just happens or something.
Okay, that's cool. I do like that.
It's also I think a really key part of the experience of playing the game is that one of the first festivals in town is like a Beltane kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the goal of that festival is, just to try to get somebody to dance with you at the final dance. But
adorable.
Because it's spring and you've just gotten there, it's like almost impossible in your first year to not have everybody reject you. And it is harsh.
Oh my God.
Because you walk around and you're like, I like this person. And then it's like shot down. And then you slowly go down your own mental list of anybody you would want to dance with. And then even like the bottom of the barrel says something or, like calls you a name or something.
Oh, no, they're like mean?
Not all, but if it's a mean person, then like, I don't know. I feel like if I remember correctly, I feel like the blonde girl like laughs and then is like, oh, you're not kidding. It's just like,
no,
it's like stuff like that. And then I think even worse is that the person you like, presumably if you like one of the nice people, will be like, oh, well, yeah, you see, I actually... and you can tell like you've put them in a position of rejecting you that makes them uncomfortable, and it's the worst.
Oh no! Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
But
well,
I think
my goal is to play this game and spend all of my resources.
There you go.
On
one
making
person.
people like me, which is not unlike how I play both blockbuster RPGs and real life. So
yes,
I'm going to do that.
Well, that is, and I'm so glad that you already own it because I felt a little funny giving you homework that involved buying something. So,
no, I am just confirming this right now. Yep, there it is. It just needs to be installed. Wow, how exciting. I'm so thrilled.
Good. And it's also for Switch if that play style feels more fun to you, if it feels like a lay in bed game, which for me it does. It
might, but you know what, I wind up I think I like for the Switch, and this is like a thing that I've noticed, is that I like having, even though I still may get a capture card and do streams and stuff like that, but because I do so much group gaming and streaming and stuff, I kind of like that I have the Switch for like private time where I like have like just some solitary like me gaming.
Well, does that mean you would stream this?
I might.
Oh my gosh. That would be so exciting because then people could really weigh in on your dating choices.
which you know that I like.
Yes.
Yeah, that might be a thing. I'm like very excited about this. It hasn't even I played a total of 51 minutes of this game.
Yeah. Well, I will say that probably the first 2 to 3 in-game days, I could see being a little confusing and frustrating because things aren't all unlocked all at once.
Yeah.
And like specifically to get the fishing pole, you need to go there when the fisherman is like there. And I think the first day or two, he has like a sign on his door that says he's on a fishing trip. So,
yeah.
It kind of makes it so that you can't trigger everything at once. But I think probably within the first 2 or 3 days, it's all there.
Yeah. And to be fair, also, this was in 2017 as well.
Oh, wow.
Like,
So long ago.
So long ago. So there are a lot of things that I have retried after not liking them that wound up becoming favorites of mine. So
I can't wait to see who your romantic interest will be.
I can't wait to find out. I'm
so excited. I refuse to play FMK this episode because I do not want to influence.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a good point. We'll have to save that for homework after I've played and met some people.
Yeah, for sure.
We just for sure'd at the same time, which is
for sure.
Probably I think that's our combined most common phrase.
Oh, no. I don't think I even noticed that I say it.
I noticed recently that we both say it so often, and the fact that we just said it at the same time makes
it's too much.
So happy.
Is there anything else with this game that I think is important? I would say not important necessarily, but I am so impressed that the developer also did all of the music. And there's different music for the seasons and different places in town and stuff like that. So I would say just notice it while you're playing, just because I think it deserves to be noticed.
That's something that I probably wouldn't have paid much attention to when I first played it. But that's something that I've grown to really, really appreciate, is how impactful music is in video games, no matter what kind of game they are. It's just such a big choice. So I will definitely, I'll definitely be mindful of that.
And if you get a goat, you have to name it after me for your...
Oh, in
honor of your group.
Oh my God, my D&D group. For anyone tuning in who had not heard the story before, which I think it's been like probably a year since I last spoke about it on the podcast, but my home game D&D group, who I miss terribly. Fuck COVID-19 so hard. They once kind of in-game pranked me. The cleric made this whole big scene about how he was going to do this ritual to speak with his god to figure out what they needed to do next. And it's this big, expensive ritual that requires, a sacrifice. And he went all around town to procure a giant goat. And because I made the automatic assumption that he was procuring this giant goat for this big sacrifice, like, I made it pretty easy to find because I was like, oh, he's just going to use it for this ritual. So I didn't make it very, very challenging to get a hold of. And what had happened recently in a game previously was that a player character died permanently in a big battle. And the cleric did some prayers over his grave and took some dirt and put it like in a pouch around his person as like a reminder of him, because they couldn't stay where he was buried. And so he gets to the temple and ties the goat up outside the temple and goes on in. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then he starts doing the prayer and lights all the incense and does all the other things. And then he takes out the pouch with the grave dirt in it and slices the pouch open and spills the grave dirt all over the floor as the sacrifice, which was just such a good callback and flavor that I couldn't call him on a technicality over that because it was so good. And so it worked. So they got an almost free giant goat mount, basically just by misleading me and misdirecting me. And then they immediately named it Avalon because they knew that I wouldn't be able to kill it if it was named Avalon. So
genius.
Real genius. And Avalon the goat is still alive and well and with the party to this day.
Good.
So yes, if I get a goat in Stardew Valley, I will absolutely name it Avalon 100%.
Excellent. Oh, I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm going to download it immediately after
Good.
this.
I feel like now that you've pointed out the for sure thing, that my secondary thing would be I'm so excited.
Yeah. what are you gonna do after this, Avalon? Because I know what I'm gonna do.
I may start playing Stardew Valley again. No, I have to wait for the update so that I can try the new farm layout.
Oh, is there a new update coming out?
Well, it's out for PC, but it's not out yet for Switch, and I would rather play it on my Switch, so I have to wait.
Is it cross-platform? We can play on the same farm if one of us is on PC and one of us is on Switch?
I don't know.
I'm gonna find that out right now.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But otherwise, I'm just gonna take care of that baby. He is crying right now and making me feel sad.
Poor Robin. All right, well, go. I'm going to download this game. Go ahead and take care of Robin.
Yes.
And we'll talk. And we will talk later. Also, I owe everybody something because Femsplained reached 500 followers on Twitter.
I forgot. We should have put this at the top of the episode.
We should have, but you know what? Let's make them wait for it.
Okay.
All right, I don't know if my voice is warmed up enough to do this, but this is for everyone who followed us on Twitter recently, and I appreciate everyone's enthusiasm over this. Although I don't quite understand it, but I like it.